Welcome all our listeners and most of all, the members of the Entrepreneur Chamber to another episode of the Entrepreneur Chamber podcast. As always, one of your co-hosts, my name is Tony Cuba Ambros. You can follow me on IG as CapOG. Everybody calls me, and you guys know me as SOSA. Fellow co-host, the man who makes a lot of this magic happens, Mr. Winston IJUST McIntosh. Follow him the same on all social media platforms. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special episode because who do we want to empower? You, the listener, as always. So today we want to, we know we always want to give you the movers, the shakers, the people that we want to get into business ownership, entrepreneurship. We always like to show you and bless you with people that are in that same fight, that they're trying to do that same thing. But we also want to tackle issues that really impact our local communities and the communities that we're all from. And today is one of those episodes. Today, we're going to tackle the very important topic, we believe, which is prison reform. And today we have the perfect man to discuss this particular topic, a fine brother, a brother we personally know, a friend of the show. And that's another thing that we try to do here on the Entrepreneur Chamber podcast. And we're trying to bring you not only people that may be doing something in all the walls, but we try to bring you people that we rock with, people that we personally know, that we know their life struggles and their life achievements. And this is one of those brothers here today, a brother that when he walks anywhere, he gets respect because he gets respect. A brother of, no, man, let me tell you something, no nonsense, but let me tell you another thing, a man with a heart of gold, a huge, big heart, a man with super duper energy, but a man to also, get to it type of brother too. Let's not forget that. And he's going to share his story with us today. So without further ado, please, everybody welcome Mr. Akey Brown. We all know him as CI.
CI.
Peace all. How we doing today?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Sir,
Man, we are super excited, man.
God.
Man, bro, we're super excited for this episode, man. So, we wanted to really tackle these type issues, and we're so glad that you agreed to come on here, man, and share some of your story and, your particular journey within the prison system, man. So, we really appreciate that.
Thank you, bro. No problem.
All right, man. So we always like to start off very easily, very quickly with the live question, and we're going to do it with you too. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, as you stated, my name is Akey Brown, the name given to me at birth. I go by CIY. Some may know me as BI. All in the same, though, because it's all inclusive. You get it? And the more you learn about me, the more you'll understand it. You know what I mean? I'm a self-made man, one who was nurtured by his mother, though.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Fathered by his pops. Rest in peace, Splurge.
So we know that just sharing a little bit about your story. Tell us a little bit like how you how you came up, like where exactly are you from, where you're born, and like where you came up, kind of like how that environment started shaping you as a young kid.
Well, I'm from the heart of New Jersey, which is Trenton, New Jersey, land of truth. You understand what I'm telling you? From down the hill, 448, born and bred. You understand what I'm telling you? So anybody familiar with these grounds? These are stomping grounds, but to me, it was a garden. You know what I mean? So right. This is what made me. You know what I mean? It take intense pressure to make a diamond or bust a pipe. I guess you can call me the diamond then.
right. Now we know that your family. I know that you come from a family that takes education serious, right? And I know that you have a very interesting story. Like I know some of your educational background, and just kind of tell the listeners a little bit of that background, because I know you went to like it says here PDS, right? Like I know that I remember I remember our conversations back, and I remember you had told me that you went to Princeton Day School, correct?
I started off in the Trenton public school system, attending Joyce Kilmer Elementary School, and was quickly taken out of regular classes and put into a gifted and talented program. From there, I went to Grace Dunn Middle School, which is juniors high school number 4, out South Trenton. I was bused with those kids that were thought to be gifted and talented in Trenton in this program. We are the first 9th grade class to become freshmen in the New Jersey school system. So abruptly, we got information in our 8th grade year that we were going to 9th grade Trenton High. This information was given to us in maybe March or April of the same year we were to attend the high school. For me, it was joy. Everybody wanted to go to the high, myself included.
Right.
For my mother, it was hell. She saw all the trappings of the hood working its way on her son, something that she thought she was grooming to be stellar.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm telling you? So on her own, she went to PDS, signed me up to take a test. I took a test, which was the SSAT. I scored high enough on that to get a scholarship paying for about 80% of my tuition. The other 20% was covered pretty much because of equal opportunity. And I was also a good basketball player. So I went to PDS, which is Princeton Day School, and Princeton is high aristocratic neighborhood, as we would say, right? So you have a black kid coming from the hood getting bused to the suburbs every day. From there, I went to Howard University, which is in the heart of Washington, D.C. This is Black Harvard.
Wait, but let me ask you, just backing up a little bit. Wait, so you were getting bused to PDS, so they was coming, so they had a bus going to Trenton basically to take you to PDS? Yes.
So I had to get up every morning at 5 o'clock to catch a bus by 6 to get to school by 7:30.
What? Okay, I didn't know that. Okay. So all right, so they do that. So they would do that. Oh, that's pretty.
So this on my bus were 2 preparatory schools. One for all girls named Stewart Country Day, which is about a half a mile away from Princeton Day School.
Yeah.
Right. And then Princeton Day School. The bus would traverse all 4 wards of Trenton.
Yeah.
Starting in the West Ward, ending in the East/South Ward, and then we make our way out to the suburbs of Princeton Borough to be schooled. Right. Only to be driven home again at 4:30, making it home by 5:30. So this was my day. Every day I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I returned home at about 5:30 when it was not basketball season. During basketball season, I got home maybe 9 o'clock at night, 8:30 at night.
Man, and first of all, too, for all our listeners and all our members, man, let's put this into context for those that may not know, that may not be from this area, from the New Jersey area. Anything Princeton, which we know everybody knows Princeton, but anything attached Princeton is going to be, is top line. We already know that comes from money. But Princeton Day School, PDS, is one of the top boarding schools that you could ever go to. So that's something major. This young man from the city gets a scholar, basically a 80%, help basically to attend a prestigious university where some prominent people have graduated from. So that's that just how to put that into context a little bit. And then after that, you go to Howard University. So after that, you go to Howard University. Now you go from basically all
Yes.
White,
yes.
man. Call it what it is, man. Predominantly
all white school, basically.
Let's tell the people what basically happened, right? So to give a little bit of backstory to that, you got to understand my 5% roots, and you got to understand, to me at that time, I was in the belly of the beast. So Princeton to me was the belly of the beast because it was a culture shock. There were not many people that looked like me, who acted like me, who spoke like me. You understand? Who endured what I endured, who walked like I walked.
Right.
So we had commonalities amongst those that were bused there, but the general population of Princeton Day School came from higher middle class to lower upper class families.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't even touch the spectrum of lower middle class. The black people in the hood, but we think we're middle class. You know, that's such a wide divide between lower and upper class. Like, what is really middle class, right?
That's right.
You're either poor or you're rich.
And I was poor. Rich. And everybody else is stuck in the middle. You know what I mean?
And that's a great expanse.
That's it. That's true.
A great expanse. And when we talk about the middle, since that's a middle of 2 points, which spectrum or which end are you closer to in that middle?
Which end are you closer to? That's the whole question. Or are you dead smack in the middle?
Right.
You know what I mean?
See, we think middle is dead center. No, the middle between 1 and 100 is every number that's 2 to 99. Right? Yeah. So are you 2 or are you 99 in the middle? Like, people of my walking, we may have been touching 20, but we was living like we was 70 in that middle. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Dang, yeah. That's crazy. So like, what's the culture shock of that? Like, what's the, like, you know, 1 year you're at this school, and then, you know, you at Howard University. I mean, Howard University, that's like the mecca of, like, you know, that's like like you said, that's the Black Harvard. You know what I mean? That, you know, I know a lot of people make claims, but, you know, let's be real, man, how it is like the mecca.
You have to understand the extremes going on there, right? Because I was abruptly taken from a culture that was my culture to attend a culture where the schooling was supposed to be better. Right? So when we talk about schooling, what we're talking about is a proper education, an education founded by the institution, right? So the schooling is all around us. That's everyday experience. So you can't take me from what I know and throw me somewhere and expect there not to be a little bit of turbulence there. So my first couple months were a little rough, adjusting to not only their cultural practices, but just being away from what I thought were my own, right? Like, Black youth who share my experiences, Black brown youth who share my experiences from impoverished areas and conditions, right? You put me around those who have, and you let me see that. And then you bust me back to those who do not have every day, 4 years straight, right? So the extreme of going to Howard was a self-induced culture shock. Back to what I knew.
Right.
So you took the out of water and then you threw them back in.
Yo, I feel because I used to live in DC, and I knew, you know, I used to be at Howard on time, man. And my girl, who's now my wife, she went to Howard. Let me tell you,
great institution. Great institution.
Let me tell you,
maybe not the best of neighborhoods.
But what I was gonna say was, I know that financial aid. I know that financial aid. Well, woo, that thing was like Rubik's Cube. That thing was like waiting on ice to dry and getting that money for.
Yeah. I even had a journey with that, brother, which is what led me, and we'll get there later, which is what led me down a certain path that they call negative. You understand?
Listen, that's actually you know, something that I wanted to ask you. To be honest with you, that's a perfect segue. Something I actually wanted to ask you. I was gonna, you know, what I wanted to, something was on my mind when I knew you were gonna be the guest was, so like, how do you go? And again, I just want to like put our like members and listeners in like context, right? I want to like get in the mind a little bit, because guess what? Akey, his testimony is somebody out there. There's someone that is incarcerated right now, has been incarcerated, that has gone through his exact journey or something very similar to it. So I'm trying, so that's something I kind of was like in my mind, like, how do you know, how does that happen? Like, you know, you're at, you know, you get yourself into a prominent high school, you know, a prestigious high school. Then you get yourself, again, achieving academically to a prestigious, black, black university that's, respected. Anybody, people at Harvard, you say, Howard, and they respect that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So how do you go from that to a life where now you're involved in criminal activity? Like, tell our listeners a little bit, like, how did that come about? Like, what kind of transitioned that, or what caused that?
The American dream. That's what caused that.
that's plain and simple right there.
Listen, man.
You put a wolf amongst all sheep. What he gonna do? He gonna try to eat.
He gonna eat. Right? That's right.
That's nature. That's not negative nor positive. It must happen. Right? So you tell me I can have what those others have, and I'm going to go try to get it the best way I know possible by what I'm allowed to do in this system. When we're speaking about negativity and positivity, we really just speaking about morality, though. Right? That's that wide expanse between the two extremes. Right? If this is good and this is evil, where does the line divide at? It's got to be very thin between the two, right? But we make it seem like you must be perfect to be good, and the one time you make a mistake, you're bad. I don't agree with that.
Neither do I. Word up. I don't agree with that either.
I also don't agree with
nah.
I don't agree with not being allowed to make a mistake and correct that mistake. See, I can't be penalized for the mistake that I made forever.
I agree. Listen, the Bible forgives. You know what I mean? It's, right. Like, right. I think, you know what I mean, that I agree with that. But it's crazy how, like, especially in our society, how, like, man, so one thing happens, you know what I mean? And that thing's with you for the rest of your life.
For some of us.
That's right. Not for everybody.
Let's keep this in context. For some of us.
Yeah, right. But you know what? The vibrations of it is still there. You know, like
the vibrations. When I say for some of us, I'm speaking about humankind now.
Yeah, I got you.
Right?
Yep.
During your adolescence, that's a coming of age time. When do most black and brown get into trouble in their life?
When we're young.
Adolescents.
During your adolescence.
That's when I got in 99% of my trouble.
If you got psychologists and everything that know this, is it not systematic?
Yeah.
Is it not systematic that they come into densely populated neighborhoods and look for criminal activity?
Yeah.
The probability of you finding criminal activity in any densely populated environment is very high.
Especially if that environment is stricken with poverty. You know what I'm saying?
Stricken, I just. And we must speak to that because everything is so inclusive that when you're stricken with poverty, you only looking for better.
Yeah.
So now the opposite of poverty, though, is opulence.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? The opposite of poverty is not sustenance. It's not sustain, get a meal every chance you can, 3. No. The opposite of being impoverished is having in abundance.
Yeah.
When you've experienced the valleys, you want to experience the peaks.
That's right.
That's true.
And I don't know a person in the world that doesn't seek a thrill.
Yeah.
When the young adolescents in our impoverished neighborhood don't realize that they satisfy the thrill chase, the financial chase, and all that until they get in trouble by a system that's made to deprive and oppress them. So you throw the trappings out there for me, in a big mousetrap. And it's funny that we call this hustle the trap, because that's all it is, right?
Right. True.
Gonna be a few that get that peanut butter off that trap. You're gonna hear the snap and it ain't gonna be nothing there, right?
Right.
9 times out of 10, when you hear that snap, you got that tail and you got that rat.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Right. So our neighborhoods to the system of America for a long time, and it's starting to change a little bit, was nothing but mousetraps.
Yeah, I remember
Everything
they even
you saw
had
around you.
I remember they even had a program on TV where they would bring a vehicle in, like, let's say in the middle of Roger Gardens, leave the vehicle with the thing running, like the ignition or the car on, but it's what is it called? Entrapment or whatever. So, and then people would get in it and then like look around, they about to drive off with the car, and then they remotely turn the car off.
I know the show you're talking about.
Yeah, bro. I was like,
the irony of this, the irony of you telling me this, is that I learned of this show while incarcerated. Right?
I was like, yo, that show is crazy.
Around like,
yeah.
Crazy, right? You jump in the car, you go to get off, and the doors lock on you. Here come the police. Like, would they go do that in Kentucky, and would they go do that in redneck neighborhoods? Right?
And it's like almost even with that, they're looking for.
But I speak this way so people understand and visualize what I'm talking about.
I think also they're looking for, like, in that instance, people, like, some people will walk into the store to get a pack of cigarettes. They wasn't even thinking about stealing the car or nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just walking to the store to go get a pack of cigarettes, and I see an opportunity to steal a car, for whether it's to get to the store faster.
You say that they would have the car. Wait, so you say that they would have the car running? They would have the car running?
Yeah, and then the cops would be across the street with binoculars on.
Like who's gonna take this car?
And you would see dudes look around, they look inside the car, stand around to see how long is somebody gonna come and claim the car. And then next you know, they jump inside the car and drive off.
The catch is
and the police shut the car off. It was an actual TV.
The catch is what I just was remiss in saying a little bit was the car was always flossy. It was always spectacular. They didn't have Chevy Nova.
Right. Wasn't no Toyota Corolla.
You got a Corvette.
Right.
You got a Lexus, right?
Right.
Keys in the ignition.
Right. Just sitting there.
Right.
Listen, the right neighborhood, that's gone. Right. The right neighborhood, and you put that in a neighborhood where ain't nobody got.
Finders keepers, right?
Yeah, that's gone. That's gone. Right. The reason why they're not taking that in Princeton, because everybody got that plus way better.
Not even that, but they're not even looking.
You know
I don't even think, even if it was a Rolls Royce, they probably wouldn't have took it in Princeton, bro. Like, I think it's more of the psychology of the entrapment.
That's what
Nah, because I'm just saying, even if it was a Rolls Royce, I don't even think somebody from Princeton would have took it. Because they just not even looking for that type of opportunity.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
That's
what I'm saying. In prison, they ain't taking that because they got that or way better. You know what I mean?
Even if they
got Rolls Royce, they got all that.
No, hold on.
But see, you kind of missing what I'm saying, though, bro.
because I always speak like everyone is listening to me, right? And no, we joking right now. The truth of the matter is there are people in prison that will take the car. If they look around and think nobody is watching them, they will take the car. Opportunities. Winona Ryder she was a bona fide star. She was a kleptomaniac. She would go to places like modern day Walmart and steal for the thrill of it. She didn't need to steal because she was broke, because she needed it for food. The lady was rich from movies. If any of y'all don't know who Winona Ryder is, it was a big movie back in the day named Beetlejuice, and she was the main actress.
Yeah, Winona Ryder
in the movie.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah, they said get caught for shoplifting. They made it sound like she got caught one time. The lady was a kleptomaniac.
Yeah,
out of necessity, out of chasing a thrill. So what we learn here is it has nothing to do with impoverishment that makes one do those things when faced with that opportunity.
Yep.
Right.
That's why I was saying that if somebody walking down the street, and that's why I was saying if somebody walking down the street to go to the store to get a pack of cigarettes, they're not even coming out the house with the intent of stealing anything. It's just that when they see that opportunity, they go ahead and take it. Those are the type of people they're looking to get. You know what I'm saying? Because there was a lot of people who seen it and walked right past the car. They ain't even try to steal the car. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Peace, Almighty. That's very valid because that has to do with the psychology of knowing that you want better, you seek more. So when 9 times out of 10, when hungry and given the opportunity to eat, you're gonna eat.
Right.
You're not wrong for that. I just told you when you put a wolf among sheep, what is he gonna do? So if I have no money and I'm walking to the store, which is a mile away because I have no vehicle,
right,
and I think someone is careless enough to leave what they paid good money for unattended, I will take. And the only time I'm a criminal is when I'm caught. So
let me ask you a question.
That's the only time you're a criminal.
Let me ask you a question, CI. Do you think what led you to your criminal activity, do you think it was right that because you needed money for school? You think it was because you just wasn't, do you think just maybe your situation, you just didn't have what you wanted, you wanted more money, you needed more money for whatever you wanted, or you think it was environment, or do you think maybe a combination of all three?
My criminal activity of what I was ever caught for, and I must be truthful with the people though, because I sold crack and everything, right? We see as young black men.
Tell us, matter of fact, tell us what you was charged with.
Money, right. The majority of my criminal record, which is pretty extensive, was petty marijuana charges.
Mm-hmm. One time we got one together. Man, you got a marijuana charge together. One of those charges. You know what I'm saying?
Ladies and gentlemen, statute of limitations is 7 years.
Man, look, it's real. My story.
No, keep it speak about that, Sos, because Sos, what he no telling you. Hey, Sos, the reason he can speak about that, Sos, is because what the God ain't telling you is I went in that court, fought my own case and won. With one witness. Won.
And I was the witness.
Wait.
I filed my public defender.
Wait, so you took that to court, you fought it yourself.
And won.
It was, and I was the witness, motherfucker. I was the witness on the stand. He cross-examined me in state court, bro. Real shit.
Yo, that's crazy. So what you think? So what you think it was? What do you think it was? My original question. What do you think it was?
I could have got long on that question. I'm gonna keep it concise, right? Rebellion, right? Coming of age. No respect for America's authority at the time. Young, black, and just don't give a fuck. Right? And I don't mean that. I don't mean that in any negative way, because I gave all fucks.
Yeah.
About what me and mine cared about, which is right.
Right.
When America goes to war, they always say they're justified and they're right. The country they go to war with, how they feel about that? Is it right? Is it right to them? America is warring with them?
Yeah.
So right and wrong is subjective, right? When we talk about criminality, we talk about rules and regulations of a land, not right or wrong.
Mm.
There are a lot of laws out here that makes you a criminal, but it don't make you an unjust person, right? Technically speaking, if I jaywalk, I'm a criminal. Right?
Yeah.
Ain't nobody gonna hold me down forever for being a jaywalker, right? I don't have to walk around with the scarlet letter of a jaywalker, right?
Yeah.
Convicted jaywalker.
Yeah.
Right? The moment you go to, I went to federal prison, I went to state prison, so I've been on every level of this prison thing, right? So I have the scarlet letter of ex-felon forever. I'll be paying that debt, right? 80 years old, it'll be successful. Made this, did that, did this. Went to jail when he was da-da-da, turned his life around.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be 80 when they're saying that. More of my life will have been doing they call right and wrong, but I'll still be turning around from wrong 60 years later from when I commit the crime. I don't understand that.
That opens up a whole bag of questions, but like what put you on your current positive road that you on now? Like what got you, out of that lifestyle, and what put you on that current positive road, now?
I'm on the same road. I've been traveling since I came through the fallopian tube. So
I got you.
Striving for perfection. I've always been striving for perfection since the moment I could verbally communicate. I wanted to know, why does this do this? How does this do that? If you can't give me the answer, I'm gonna go find out myself.
Right.
Through experimentation and experience, right? So most kids, parents told them don't touch that stove, and they touched it anyway. The government told me don't sell weed, and I sold it anyway, right? Told me I got the right to bear arms when they know about it, and I just kept a gun because they gave me the right to do it. So it's like telling me I can go to Atlantic City, but I can shoot dice in my backyard. I don't get it.
Right.
If it's wrong, it's wrong. Right?
Yeah.
It's like the genius said on one lyric. Pardon me, it wasn't even the genius. It was Master Killer. Homicide is illegal when death is the penalty. What justifies the homicide? When he dies?
In their own iniquity.
In his own iniquity? Like, a lot of people don't even understand that, man.
That's a jewel right there.
Is that what makes it justifiable? Because it's equal and opposite reaction to action. Well, every action that we ever do is a reaction to something.
Yes. Every action causes a reaction. Reaction causes
what's the impetus there? What's the impulse? What's the impetus? You think media has no effect on you when you watch bling bling every time I bling bling 50 worth of back bling? You think that don't affect you when they bombard you with that mass media of you can have these jewels, you can have this fur, you can have this car, and you put away for me to get it here? And my morality is, as long as what I'm doing does not harm or affect anyone else in any manner, it should not be criminal. If me and you agree on a contract and you sign it, that's legally binding. I never forced anyone to take a drug. Matter of fact, people who bought weed from me, which is now legal, by the way, they sought me out. I didn't go to them. I didn't stand on the block and say I got weed, dime bags. I just was known for having good weed. And I did it well. I was fair with the people.
Right.
So I've always been good, because I don't know if anybody, hopefully a lot of people don't even know about drug dealing that's watching this. But if you do, it takes some social skills. Like, anyone can be a drug dealer. Not everyone can be a hustler. Right?
Right.
To be a hustler, the word hustler in its true sense is synonymous with entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because your nefarious types use it all the time, it has a negative connotation.
Yeah.
However, if I'm on a basketball court and they say, "Oh, that boy's a hustler," I'm one of the best basketball players out there. He hustle, he can get to it.
That's right.
Right? Come on, boy, put some pep in your step, man. Let me see some hustle.
Let me see some hustle.
We got to we we want to talk about like some solutions, some of the things, get deeper into the prison reform. I know Wentz wanted to ask some questions. I know there was a couple questions he was talking about that he wanted to ask.
Well, I mean, the whole topic and the subject of the podcast is, prison reform and what is prison reform. That's the whole point, and everybody in my mind, especially when you're a civilian and you haven't done, I'm gonna say, a substantial amount of time, or even if you did, your definition of prison reform is going to be different from someone else's definition of prison reform. And now specifically for me, just bringing this up because we're in like the political season. So you see ads, I ain't gonna say their names, but over in Pennsylvania, and they running for the Senate, and they just talking about prison reform, and they say this one senator wants to let out prisoners out of jail as a part of prison reform, dating back to what President Obama did. CI and I both know people who were let out of prison under the Obama prison program. We personally know these people. You know what I'm saying? And they show that commercial, and he may have let out non-violent offenders, but in the commercial, they show dudes kidnapping people, shootouts, who will be deemed as violent offenders. Yeah. So the insinuation there is that he wants to do prison reform, but he wants to open up the floodgates and everybody can come out of prison, which is just not true. So, that's why I thought.
Yeah.
Go ahead, because I want to ask you.
We're really talking about weed offenders.
What you talking about?
Say that again.
Because I just heard say, pardon me, because I just lost it. It was piggyback off of what I just said though, but he was just talking about reform and what it looks like to the civilian versus maybe inmate, right? And I don't want to get long-winded, man, because as my brother know, I'll talk about this type of thing for weeks and years because it can never stop being talked about, right? Like, we've been talking prison reform since the Bible, right?
Shit, even in modern history now with William Penn, prison reform goes back to William Penn. That was in Pennsylvania, William Penn. He was a reformist. He was a prison reformist.
As long as there've been man, there's been prisons. They were cages or they were, but there's always been
I challenge the viewer to investigate where America even got its whole penal system from. Right? I'm not going to get an answer. Period. I just want people to understand where it derived. What is the etymology of our penal system, right? And know the word doesn't really go with that, but I'm just saying that so you can see the analogy between the two. Where does this derive from? What is the model for what we now know as a penal system, right? And what you'll trace it back to this real quick overview is slavery and indentured servitude. That's neither nor there. Right. But I heard my brother just speak about violent offenders versus non-violent offenders. Right. And what do you hear when you hear not violent offenders? So what type of people are you thinking about? What type of felonies have committed when you hear violent offender?
What a violent offender? I mean, you're talking about, your robbery, your robberies, your armed robberies, your assaults, things like that. Rape.
Would you say I was a violent? Would you say I was a? You kind of hit you, but you kind of familiar with my charges. Was I a violent offender?
No, I wouldn't say you were. No, I wouldn't. I would not categorize you as a violent offender, but I would categorize you as somebody that if the problem came, it might be handled. It's going to be handled.
No, we're just talking about.
We're just talking about. No. But I wouldn't say that you was out there. No. But I wouldn't say.
I'm talking about offense level.
But you was not the instigator. You would never be the instigator of any violence. You know what I mean? Or if it came your way, yes. But I would not categorize you as a violent offender.
I'm glad you said that.
I'll categorize you as a hustler.
I'm glad you said that. I could have used you as a character witness. I could have used you as a character witness because unfortunately the federal government of the United States has categorized moi as a violent offender for the fact that I had a pistol, possession of the weapon,
right,
with the drugs. That makes me a violent offender. So according to, like brother I just talking about, the one senator's remarks, keep all violent offenders in jail. Technically, I'm a violent offender who's never been convicted of a crime of violence.
Right.
That makes no sense to me.
I got you. You're categorized as a violent offender because you got a gun charge, but you actually never committed a violent offense. You never assaulted anybody, or at least on record.
The gun wasn't even used in the commission of a crime except for the possession of the marijuana, which in today's time is not even criminal.
Yeah.
Oh, we understand that. So if I was wrong, I caught my case. Am I right now because the laws have changed? Or am I still wrong because I was playing by a set of rules that have now evolved? Let me know something.
And that's why I think,
I don't get it.
And that's why I think prison reform is something that does change. So again, even under Obama, that was a whole nother level of prison reform. And even when it went to Trump, Trump dealt with prison reform. He had the Meek Mills and again, but it was a different type of prison reform. You know what I mean?
Well, you got Sentencing Act reform.
Mm-hmm.
You got institution reform. You got justice reform. And unfortunately, when we hear the term prison reform, we group all of that under one umbrella.
All of that under one umbrella.
And by doing that, you miss out sometimes.
Yes. I agree with that. I agree
because even by definition,
Obama's thing.
No, I was just going to say, even by definition of prison reform, it is the attempt to improve the conditions inside of prison, improve the effectiveness of the penal system, or implementations of alternatives to incarceration. That is the colloquial definition of prison reform. You know what I'm saying? So my question to you then, CI, is in your own words, what is prison reform?
An unanswerable topic, a vague. It's an anomaly. It's a juxtaposition. It's a dichotomy. It's all of that, right? It's like saying a jumbo shrimp.
Right? That's right.
I can't have prison reform.
Where you at?
The two in itself are in opposition to each other. Prison is chaos. Reform is order. I can't have prison reform. If I got reform, then prison doesn't thrive. If I got prison reform, doesn't thrive.
That was deep right there. That was deep right there. He said, he's gonna say that again. You said if you got reform, the prison don't thrive. But if you got prison, then reform don't thrive. Don't strive, man. That's a jewel right there.
That is.
In my eyes, prison reform would be everybody in a uniform of the same color recognize that y'all all in the same boat.
Yeah, like how much
That's prison reform to me.
about?
Mhm,
Right.
mhm, mhm.
Right.
Right? When I
Right.
put on that blue uniform as a correction officer, even if I had biases against my coworker, I can't divulge or show those during my 8 hours of employment, right?
Mhm.
Because we all cold blue. So we put all our differences to the side to police, to be officers of corrections to the inmate.
Mm.
It's corruption within the officers. So how can I have corruption correcting something?
Mhm. It's corruption in the ranks.
So
Corruption,
we don't
right?
have correction officers, we got corruption officers, right? They still COs,
Mhm.
chaotic ordinance, CO, right? But that's the beauty of the world, man. Like you need up to have down, need good to have bad, right?
Yeah. True.
You're never gonna get prison reform because that's like asking, what's heaven?
Mhm.
It's three of us up here. We all got 3 different ideas of heaven.
Mhm.
So reform gonna look different to every individual.
Mhm.
Yeah.
One person want more food in the tray,
Mhm.
right? One person want more movement throughout the jail at any. One person want more programming. One person feel like we need more personal space. One person feel like we need less time for the crimes committed. Another person feel like we need more time for the crimes committed. Right? So what we just need is order, a system. We need a rehabilitation system, not a prison system, man.
Mm.
Because even when I think about that, there are so many seats at this table that they call prison reform. Because when you think about prison reform, you're not segregating it between nonviolent and violent offenders. So prison reform is all inclusive. So you got the guards, you got the rank. Now you even got the victim. So what about the seat that the victims are going to come to the table and say, I don't agree with that type of prison reform. I'm a victim of a violent of a crime or somebody who committed a violent crime against me.
Yeah.
You know, so prison reform is going to look different to someone who may have been perpetrated a crime upon them. You know, and that's why I think, you know, just saying it as prison reform.
Yes, because we all are opinionated and we all.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 So let me ask you this then, CI. And this is just for the listening audience, man. And because if you come from a certain neighborhood, you know, whether that's a brother, whether that's a sister, a aunt, sometimes it's all of them. It's a mother, it's a father. You know, me personally, we've all been affected by incarceration in this prison system. And to me, you know, we're having family that came to America who spent more time in American prisons than they did free on the streets of America before they were deported back to Jamaica. You know, prisons touched me at an early age. You know what I'm saying? So, on one hand,
Yes.
going back to your earlier point that both of y'all were making, that there's, you know, reform of the criminal justice system, and then, you know, reform of the prison system. You know, what are your thoughts on the difference between the two? Because again, often that gets conflated all under one thing, you know, under the
Well,
criminal justice system reform.
well, bro, as you know, I like to speak in analogy so everybody can understand
Right.
me, right? So
Mhm.
criminal justice system, I will liken to slavery.
Mhm.
Right? And the penal system, I will liken to the housing in which the slaves lived in.
Mhm.
Right? And so within slavery, within this criminal justice system, when you talk about prison reform, the only thing you're talking about is revamping my house, man. Right? What I want, a bigger couch, what I want, a better roof. At the end of the day, I'm still like Pablo was still in jail, whether it was his house or not. Like that's a mentality. That's the ghetto, right? Like that's the mentality. So what should scare any person about going to prison is them taking away your freedoms, not the physical freedom. Because we can get all the rap lyrics, lock my body, can't trap my mind. Like, homie, they take away multiple freedoms of yours and try to dehumanize you in the guise of correcting you to return to society a productive product. And I said product on purpose because they'll put the adjective a productive citizen, but you just a product.
Yeah.
And they want you to come back home and produce.
Yeah.
For them. And us.
Yeah.
So you want me to produce for a nation that don't protect me, that kills me at the drop of a dime, and get mad when I try to get my own.
I think
I don't get it.
I think the dopest thing to me, right? Like the thing that I'm like getting the most out of it, and what I think the dopest thing that you said, man, is no prison reform. It's just reform. You know what I mean? Let's get the prison up out of it, because you're right. Like you made that dope analogy. You like, man, prison is chaos. Reform is reform. You know what I mean? Like, you know, that's like you can't have both. Man, so I think you're right, man. We're talking about prison reform, we're really talking about reform. Right, because they try
everybody.
To reform,
no,
right. It's not like they want people in prison.
To cut you must understand. You must understand that they put us all, and I say us because I'm a convicted felon, right? In these same buildings and group us all as criminals, whether a drug addict, a mental patient, schizophrenic, right? These isms or problems have led to behavioral patterns of yours, which now deem as crime. I'm gonna lock you up, and I'm not going to get at the root of the problem. Right? So I speak to my brother all day about being Fort Dix with a plethora of pedophiles. And I'm not here to judge crimes, right? Live and let live. I don't agree with it.
That's a tough one.
People don't agree with things that I may do. It's abhorrent to me because there's a victim there. You're doing something that's not consensual, right? I'm gonna give you a crime that I never saw being a crime: prostitution, right? Some of the activity associated with prostitution is criminal. For a woman to lay down, open her legs, or a man to lay down and drop his pants, for anybody opposite of them at an agreed upon price,
or with them,
an agreed upon service, what's criminal about that?
Yeah.
Shoot, they got that with this them houses out in like Las Vegas, even the one that Lamar Odom was at. That's basically what that was.
Right.
Legal prostitution, man.
Right. But that's why I agree. Well, that's why I agree when you say prison, take the prison out of reform, because at the end of the day, they don't want people not to be in prison. You know what I'm saying?
But
right,
the point,
that's a big money business right there.
And again, that's the whole point of saying it as prison reform.
That's what it is.
Because that's the guys. That's how they sink line people, because they want you to think of prison. You're thinking of the physical building. The physical building is real. Like the definition of prison reform is real. It's a literal definition for it. You know what I'm saying? So even when you're speaking upon it, I think what you're saying, both of y'all are right, because it is the guys at the end of the day. Because my thought is, like, for example, CI and SOS, both of y'all, and for the listening audience, when we're talking about prison reform, you know, are we going to stop allowing big corporations, without saying no names, to profiteer off of inmates making their uniforms, for example? So now they get their uniforms made. The inmate makes 2 cents per day. Meanwhile, that particular said company profits skyrocket because they're getting cheap labor. So are they going to stop doing that? Some people on prison reform says, I want that to stop. I don't think that's realistic. That's not my view of prison reform. My view of prison reform is make the sharing more profitable, make it more equal. You know what I'm saying? It's no different than the college athletes now doing those NIL deals. You know what I'm saying? At one point, college athletes were not getting paid. Now now they're
Let me
getting
share
paid,
something real quick
and they're
with you.
splitting those profits.
Let me share something real quick with you that y'all might not know, right? Unicor is a big industry within the federal prison, like DepCor is for state prison, right? Unicor is the top job in a federal system, right? And if you're doing good, you make about $200 to $300 a month, working more than likely 8-hour shifts daily. Notice what I just said, man. $200 to $300 a month, right? You're being productive right now.
Yeah.
In society for somebody making a lot of money off of your labor. And this is supposed to be your restitution for the crimes you committed, right? When we look at this war of criminal versus upholder, officer of the law, right? What you see is the inmate has no wins against the criminal justice system from the time that he's a criminal. It's 2 levels.
Well, depending on
what I mean by
you're
that,
from.
it's way, their gang is too big, right? They got probation officers, they got corrections officers, they got police officers, they got sheriffs, they have state troopers, they have judges, they have attorney generals, they have district attorneys, they have prosecutors. Prosecutors, pardon me. What I'm getting at is a lot of people don't look at that as the same team.
Yeah.
That's one baseball team with many positions. And if you get stuck looking at only the pitcher and the catcher, you forget how important the right fielder is and touch that home run. Right? So you got so much to fight as the future inmate. And by the time you make it to that level, which is the bottom rung, you're dealing with the bottom rung of the upholders of the law, which means they're not too far removed from you, one action removed from you. So I told you, you put wolf on sheep, that wolf won't eat. Most prisoners are in a system where they see corruption by police officers all day long. How can you reform them? And you got that same officer saying, be like me. Fake like you're doing good, and do bad to get ahead.
Yeah.
You're just teaching me ways to be sneakier, slicker. You're just opening my network up so that it's harder to catch me in things that I do.
Shit, over 50%
That's
of
why
all contraband enter prisons through guards.
Yeah.
Over 50% of contraband enter prisons, not through inmates,
How else,
not through people visiting.
how else can
Over 50%.
Guards.